Inside American Pickers stars business drama from Frank Fritz's struggling store sales to Mike Wolf's expensive items. Hello, everyone. Welcome back for another video. I hope everyone's having a great day. Before watching the video, please subscribe and like it. American Pickers has long had low ratings, but it appears that its actors' personal business ventures have also suffered. From Frank Fritz's faltering antique store sales to Mike Wolf's high-end store products, it appears that TV ratings are the least of the History Channel stars' concerns. Frank, 59, owns the antique shop Frank Fritz Finds in Savannah, Illinois, and was hospitalized after suffering a stroke the previous year. Finding out. Last month, the antique store's surprisingly low annual sales were disclosed as Frank's conservator assisted in managing the shop following the American Pickers star's devastating stroke. According to Experian's business valuation report, the U.S. Sun has unique access to Frank Fritz Finds' predicted yearly revenues. Frank Fritz Finds' annual sales are projected to be $25,000. The company has a business credit score of 27, and it is classified as a medium risk. The report states that the score predicts the likelihood of serious credit delinquencies within the next 12 months. In terms of financial stability risk ratings, the shop obtained a medium-high rating of 4 out of 5. According to the research, there is a 10% potential risk of severe financial distress within the next 12 months. Frank's lawyer did not respond to a request for comment from the United States Sun. In March, the Sun got images of the store looking emptier. An insider told the Sun that there hasn't been a single new item in the store. An employee told me that new antiques arrive basically never. When asked when Frank was last seen at the store, the answered that the store owner hadn't been seen in years. Revidudas. The U.S. Sun exclusively revealed that clients of Frank Fritz Finds have complained about late workers and disrespectful personnel as Frank continues to recuperate from a stroke. In December 2022, a customer stated on Google Reviews, "It was meant to open at 10 a.m. when we arrived. The lights were off, and the antique sales lady was late." According to another worker, "She did open the antique sale for us. It is not heated, so be prepared in the winter." There were a good number of genuine antiques that were fairly priced. Definitely cluttered. The staff was Another recently commented, "I was a tremendous admirer of the show. I went in to support Frank and see what all the fuss was about. The apartment resembled an episode of Hoarders. The staff was disrespectful. Simply disappointing." Happus this complained, "Nothing except pricey rubbish. Employees are rude. Do not waste your hard-earned money." However, not all customers agreed. As one commented, "Friendly and helpful guys." From one Frank to another, 4 stars. Another commented, "Locals are friendly and helpful in locating Fritz collections." That is also the downside. It's difficult to spot a curiosity shop because it's hidden behind the bar in what appears to be a private area. Frank's conservation. On August 18, 2022, Frank's close friends filed an emergency appointment of a temporary guardian and conservator for the celebrity, saying his decision-making capacity is so impaired as a result of the stroke. The conservatorship papers, which the Sun obtained exclusively, detailed plans to remodel the store. The initial plan filed by conservator Midwest-owned bank stated, "Mr. Fritz is a well-known collector with multiple outbuildings full of important collections. The conservator has not yet inventoried those things, but intends to keep them mostly as they are, with the exception of refilling Mr. Fritz's antique store in Savannah, Illinois as needed. Conservator is hopeful Frank will be able to participate in selection and pricing of items as he did previously." Very expensive. Mike Wolf, 59, the creator and star of American Pickers, runs Antique Archaeology, which has locations in LeClaire, Iowa, and Nashville, Tennessee. Customers have reported that Mike sells items for exorbitant prices inside his Nashville antique business, like $18 socks and a $900 cat food sign. The U.S. Sun received exclusive images inside the Nashville, Tennessee store that revealed the expensive items. In one photograph, Mike is selling Gone Pickin' socks for $18. Another costly item is a $900 Purina Chow antique sign, while a Pepsi-Cola sign costs $1,200. A vintage Pepsi machine will cost customers $2,200. Other collectibles include a vintage toy motor for $75 and a pair of 1942 Ohio registration plates for $100. Customers have grumbled about the high costs at the Nashville store. One consumer recently said on Google Reviews, "A pleasant place to visit. There's enough to do and see. Prices are slightly high. However, you can locate products that are not available anyplace else." A second person said, "If you want to buy something, there isn't a great selection to choose from. However, there is a lot of merchandise from antique archaeology. Everything is pricey. Everything." A third person said, "I'm kind of disappointed. Mostly merchandise for the show. There are relatively few products available for purchase, and they are incredibly pricey. Too much merci." Customers at Antique Archaeology in Iowa criticized the store for selling mostly stuff rather than antiquities, according to The Sun. Customers have also complained about a paucity of collectibles in the Nashville store. One Google reviewer wrote, "The staff was polite enough, but most of the stuff in there touted antique archaeology. I wanted to see more of the stuff that the guys picked up around the country to sell and possibly make a purchase, but as there were very few items in there that would fit my needs. All I saw was overpriced merchandise promoting antique archaeology." A second said, "The place is extremely little, and very few of the antiques featured on the show are for sale or even available in the store. It's mostly cheap souvenirs." The U.S. Sun got photographs of stuff such as pins, magnets, shot glasses, keychains, bumper stickers, shirts, hats, tote bags, mugs, glasses, thermometers, gloves, and other items. Estimated sales. The anticipated annual sales of Antique Archaeology's Nashville branch have been published after the owner faced criticism for his expensive wares. The expected yearly sales of Antique Archaeology Nashville, according to Experian's Business Valuation Report, were exclusively Archaeology Nashville's annual sales are expected to be $903,000. The company's business credit score is low risk, which means there is a good probability of on-time payment, according to the report. In terms of financial stability risk ratings, Antique Archaeology obtained a 2 out of 5 rating, indicating a 1.11% potential risk of severe financial distress within the next 12 months. A representative for Mike and Antique Archaeology did not respond to the Sun's request for comment. Maximizing profits. Mike recruited a new agent for his antique shop this month, after the Iowa store struggled with low annual sales. The U.S. Sun can exclusively reveal that the reality TV personality has recruited a new registered agent for an Antique Archaeology Nashville LLC. According to the Tennessee Secretary of State's office, the annual report for 2022 was submitted on June 23, 2023. The registered agent was changed from Steve Brown to Beth Welzenbach, Mike and Robbie's sister. Antique Archaeology Nashville LLC owns and operates businesses in Nashville, Tennessee, and LeClaire, Iowa. The shift comes after the U.S. Sun earlier revealed Antique Archaeology in Iowa's expected annual sales. According to Experian's Business Valuation Report, Antique Archaeology's estimated annual sales are $62,000. The company's business credit score is 23, indicating medium-high risk. According to the report, this score predicts the likelihood of serious credit delinquencies within the next 12 months. Antique Archaeology gets a median risk rating of 3 out of 5. The study asserts, this rating predicts the likelihood of payment default and slash or bankruptcy within the next 12 months. In the world of antiques where rust, dust, and nostalgia meet for passionate collectors and curious buyers, few names have commanded as much recognition as the stars of American Pickers. The hit reality series has transformed once unknown backroad pickers into household personalities, taking viewers along for the ride as forgotten treasures are uncovered and restored. But behind the scenes, the glow of fame has dimmed as both central figures Frank Fritz and Mike Wolf face turbulent times in their respective business ventures. The journey that began with camaraderie and mutual admiration has slowly unraveled, leaving in its wake personal distance, business challenges, and the shifting loyalties of a devoted fan base. For Frank Fritz, who once captivated audiences with his quirky charm and eye for overlooked gems, the reality of running an antique store without the daily spotlight of television has proven to be a steep uphill climb. Reports have surfaced that sales at Fritz's antique shop have seen a sharp decline in recent months, with foot traffic slowing and the once busy aisles now noticeably quiet. Located in a region steeped in history and rustic Americana, Fritz's store was once a haven for fans of the show and casual collectors alike. But in recent times the atmosphere has changed. The shelves remain stocked, yet the buyers have become fewer. Some in the community have speculated that the absence of consistent television exposure coupled with Fritz's health struggles have played a role in this downturn. Others point to the fractured relationship between Fritz and Wolf as a factor that altered fan sentiment and left some uncertain about where their loyalties lie. Meanwhile, Mike Wolf has been facing a different kind of scrutiny. Though still very much the face of the American Pickers brand, Wolf has come under fire from segments of the fan base for what some see as increasingly inaccessible prices and a departure from the humble roots that made the show relatable. From vintage motorcycles with eye-watering price tags to rare signs and salvaged furniture listed at prices far out of reach for everyday buyers, the inventory at Wolf's store has prompted whispers of disconnection. Wolf, whose keen eye for valuable relics helped turn a niche hobby into primetime television gold, has always possessed a flair for style and storytelling. His store, once celebrated for its blend of rugged authenticity and historical reverence, is now viewed by some as catering more to elite collectors than the average enthusiast. While business continues, the image of a picker chasing stories in barns and fields has started to blur with the reality of high-end retail presentation. Between these two former partners is more than just personal. It has become symbolic of two diverging paths in the same world, one grounded in small-town accessibility and passion, and the other pulled towards celebrity branding and commercial polish. Where once they were united in purpose, now they appear as contrasting reflections of what American Pickers has become and what it may yet be. Fritz's store, though weathered, remains deeply rooted in his original vision. It is less curated and more chaotic, a treasure trove of oddities that require digging and discovery. But without the massive platform of television to drive attention, and without Wolf by his side to generate buzz, the store now feels like a monument to a bygone chapter of both a friendship and a business empire. Wolf, on the other hand, continues to innovate, expand, and promote. Even as he battles criticism and declining show ratings, he maintains a steady presence in the antique world, recently lending his name and support to fellow pickers, launching new stores or hosting events aimed at reviving interest in vintage culture. His social media is polished, his brand presence strong, yet fans have noticed a shift in tone from personal to professional, from everyman to entrepreneur. This divide has triggered passionate conversations online among longtime followers. Some argue that Wolf has simply grown with the business, and that higher prices reflect the value of rare finds. Others feel that Fritz's approach remains closer to the heart of what made the show special, and that his current struggles are reflective of how quickly fame can fade when corporate backing disappears. In the center of it all is the unresolved tension between Wolf and Fritz, a once dynamic duo whose on-screen chemistry fueled years of success, and whose off-screen fallout has left questions lingering in the minds of viewers. What happened to the friendship they once so clearly cherished? How did shared goals become separate battles? And is there any hope for reconciliation in business or in spirit? Industry insiders suggest that while Wolf may continue to thrive from a brand standpoint, the absence of Fritz and the raw chemistry he brought to the show has left a void that newer cast members have struggled to fill. The ratings dips and divided fan base point to a narrative no longer driven by authentic connection, but rather by necessity and production cycles. Fritz remains mostly silent in the public eye, save for rare appearances and quiet updates from those close to him. His focus appears to be on personal healing and the day-to-day reality of maintaining a small business in a changing market. His fans' fiercely loyal rally in support, reminding the world that behind the headlines is a man who gave much of himself to the show and whose legacy deserves to be remembered with respect. For Wolf, the challenge is different. He must now balance business growth with authenticity, battling the perception that American Pickers has lost the spark that once made it must-see television. He continues to build relationships within the antique world, sharing stories of collectors and curators who inspire him. But the weight of carrying the brand alone, without the familiar banter and brotherhood of his former partner, is evident. As both men navigate their new realities, the world of picking continues to evolve. Once a niche subculture, it is now both celebrated and commercialized, romanticized by television, and complicated by economics. The antique world is as much about business as it is about history and heart. And for Fritz and Wolf, the story remains unfinished. Their shared past is written in roadside barns, forgotten garages, and dusty attics. Their future remains uncertain, yet through every closed door and every open crate, the spirit of the hunt lives on in those who still believe that the next great find is just around the corner, waiting for someone willing to search. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, America Trends 24, and stay with us.